In today's video, I am going to be breaking down Cameron Payne of the Phoenix Suns because he is one of the best shooters on the team. He has made huge improvements over his career, so let's get down. Let's check out Cameron Payne. Okay, so in this first clip, I really want to point out how tilted away from the rim his hips, his shoulders, as well as his knees and feet really are. It is a huge tilt away from the basket. This goes against what every single coach and trainer usually says to you. However, there is a reason why he made this shot. Number one, left-handed shooters generally have more tilt than right-handed shooters. That is a big factor in the reason why his shot continues to go in even though he is super tilted away from the basket. Also, when he catches that ball, he does dip slightly into his shot. Now, the ball doesn't necessarily dip past his waist, but his butt dips towards the floor slightly until he's almost 90 degrees when it comes to his knees. He is also not a very balanced shooter, if you want to think of it this way, because his shoulders don't necessarily line up with his knees and line up with his toes. His knees and shoulders are slightly ahead of his toes, which is probably why he has a little bit of a forward jump on his shot. When he goes up for his set point, he does have what seems to be a two-motion set shot. And his two-motion set shot in his main motion, once he gets up into his set point, he tends to have a 45-degree angle on his elbow, which is something that is very stereotypical of most basketball players. The closer you get to 90 degrees, the faster you shot. The farther away you get from 90 degrees, the slower your shot. We can also see that his hand is pretty well behind the ball in this clip, but when we get closer up into his set point, we can actually see his hand is pretty well behind the ball. We can also see that he does have a massive thumb flick and his palm on his guide hand is totally pointing towards the rim. Now, when we put this into slow motion, we can actually see there is a massive bend on his guide hand wrist, like if this is a massive two-handed shot. However, his thumb does release the ball before his main shooting hand releases the ball. If you've got a thumb flick, you generally never want to have both hands releasing the ball at the same time, or this guide hand releasing the ball after your main hand releasing the ball. The reason for this is when you shoot with a thumb flick, in most cases, if your thumb has too much to do with the ball, it's going to either be a flat shot or there's going to be none, if not barely any, backwards rotation on that ball. And we actually do not see that from this shot. We can actually see that there's a lot of rotation on that ball. There's also a lot of arc, and the main reason for the arc is that super soft release that he has. The softer your release, the more arc you have. Meanwhile, if you've got a hard release, you're going to have less arc on the ball. I really want to also point out his set point where his shoulder does get in line with his elbow towards the rim and the basketball is not over top of his arm, which goes against that shooting triangle I always talk about. However, when he starts going up into his shot right there, it gets in line, that ball, with his shoulder or upper arm. And the reason for that is that thumb flick. So that thumb flick actually pushes that ball slightly up into that shooting triangle that I always speak of, being the elbow needs to be in line with the shoulder towards the rim, and then that ball has to be somewhere over the elbow to shoulder or somewhere in between to have that shooting line. And the reason why he's got so much tilt on his shot is because if he was to square up towards the rim, he may find that he cannot get his elbow and shoulder in line with the basketball net. Everyone is built differently. We have to remember that as trainers and as coaches, where not every player is going to be able to square up perfectly towards the rim by tilting away. If you can tilt away slightly, or even a little bit more than slightly, as we see here, just to get your shoulder and elbow in line, it's worth it because in this case, he will actually have Cameron Payne will have a much faster shot by being tilted away than if he was squared up. Because if he was squared up, he would have had to really put a lot of work and emphasis into getting that elbow and shoulder in line with the basketball net. And by taking time to really work on that, by being tilted away, this can actually speed up his shot. And if you find that you've got a really slow shot and you're squaring up towards the rim, try tilting away just slightly. It might actually speed up your shot. Something else I really want to point out is the fact that he's on his toes throughout the whole time. Even when he's going for a jab, he's still on his toes. You have to remember that the calves are fast twitch muscles. Being on your toes activates your calves, and that will get you up into the air much faster. I hope that this shooting breakdown helps you become a better shooter yourself. Hit that like button, subscribe, make sure to go check out all of the equipment that I use down in the description below, and I'll see you guys again next time.